Chapter 10, Le Mole. Before we begin, I just want to ask a question, important question. Who is your best friend? Is it your friend Sally Sue? No. No, it is not your friend Sally Sue. What about your dreamy boyfriend? No, is it your boyfriend? I should say dreamy boyfriend. No. How about Uncle Joe? Is Uncle Joe your best friend?
No. Uncle Joe is not your best friend. Your dreamy boyfriend is not your best friend. Sally Sue is not your best friend. No, no, no.
When you are in trouble, need help, or advice, your best friend is the one you turn to. Your best friend is the Le Mole. What is a mole? Is it a spy? No, it is not a spy. Is it a furry animal that lives underground? No. Is it a beauty mark? Perhaps on someone's face? No, it is not a beauty mark. Well, what is it? What is the mole? Your BFF? For sure, your best friend forever. The mole you will be able to count on. Really, a mole is just a name that represents a number. So let's look at this more closely. So to best illustrate this term, we're going to have a party. So for everyone, you're going to have to bring the following. 3 dozen donuts. 4 cases of root beer. Don't know how that got in there. 5 grosses of crayons. Can't have a party without crayons. 2 reams of paper. Fun. What are you going to do with the crayons if you can't draw on it? And 1 mole of ding-dongs. There we go. The mole is just a number. Just like a grosses or a cases or a ream or a dozen. So a dozen means 12. So this is 3 times 12. A dozen is just a word that means 12. A case means 24. So if you have a case of root beer, you have 24 bottles. A gross is 144. So if you have a gross of crayons, you have 144 crayons. 5 grosses of crayons would be 5 times 144. A ream is 500 sheets. So 2 reams would be 1,000 sheets. And 1 mole, we'll get to in a second. A mole is the same thing. It's just a word that represents a number, like a dozen, like a case. But it's a very special number. So the mole is a very special word. So you guys need to bring that tomorrow. Now a mole, again, just represents a number, and you'll see here this is an abbreviation for the mole because it is so much more difficult to write that extra E, so we abbreviate the mole, M-O-L. And really, we just don't have time to go into the history of the mole, but you can read more about it, how he came up with it. 1 mole is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd particles. Your book uses 6.02. Some will use 6.022. I guess it's just like pi, how many digits you want to get to. Particles can be anything. It can be atoms, molecules, footballs, basketball, donuts, ding-dongs, whatever. It means 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, whatever. And in chemistry, we'll usually use it as atoms or molecules. or formula units. A fellow by the name of Amedeo Avogadro de Coreña came up with the number of 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. Again, so this number you should burn into your brain. He was an Italian chap, and it's just an amazing little thing he did. A mole consists of anything that contains Avogadro's number. So that's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. That is Avogadro's number. Now you don't have to know these facts. These are just interesting little tidbits just to show you how huge a mole is, or Avogadro's number. So let's say you had a mole of pennies. That would be 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd pennies. So that would be this many pennies. Incredible amount. So if you had a mole of pennies, you could give each person on Earth $926 billion each. Now, and still have money left over. There are about 6.8 billion people on Earth, maybe 7 billion. So if each 7 billion people could have $926 billion from that mole of pennies. Now, another little fact, given that the volume of grain of sand is approximately 10 to the minus 12 meters cubed, so a grain of sand is, you guys can picture that, and given that the area of the United States is 10 to the 13th meter squared, therefore follows that a mole of sand grains, so that's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd sand grains, could cover the United States in approximately 1 centimeter of sand. Human body roughly contains very roughly 100 trillion cells. There are roughly 6 billion people on Earth, well now almost 7. So the total number of human cells on the planet is approximately 6 times 10 to the 23rd. So of all the cells, we probably have more than 6 times 10 to the 23rd cells on Earth, which is, so we have basically everyone's cells combined make up about a mole of cells. Earth has a radius of about 6,400 kilometers. Its volume is approximately 10 to the 21st meters cubed. If you have about 500 large grapefruit would fit in 1 cubic meter. So if you think about a meter times a meter times a meter, therefore follows that a mole of grapefruit would have the same volume as the Earth. So if we had 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd grapefruits, we could make another Earth. If you had exactly 1 mole of sheets of paper, you can make 1 million equal stacks from sea level on Earth that would pass the sun. You could have a mole of paper, and that would, you just stack it up, and that would pass the sun. If you had a mole of pennies, you could give out enough money to everyone in the world so that they could spend $1 million every hour, day, and night for the rest of their lives. Now we're going to also need to look at this roadmap. We have one in page 303. This is the one off 303. I also put some others in chapter 10 section of your notebook, and we're going to look at these individually. And this roadmap goes from mass to the mole and mole to mass. Okay. It goes from representative particles. Now a representative particle can be anything. It can be an atom, such as helium atoms. It can be a molecule, such as a water molecule. Spelled that wrong. It could be a formula unit, such as sodium chloride. So it could really represent anything. So when we talk about particles, if we're saying the number of atoms, or the number of molecules, or the number of formula units, that's particles. See, like little individual atoms, or them as a compound. And also volume of gas. And we look at liters here. Now the mass we're going to look at should be in grams. And we will look at each of these individually. But notice they all go to the mole. And so a roadmap is just if we want to go from one place to the next, we just follow the arrow. We all lead to the mole and go through the mole. The mole, the mole, the mole, your friend the mole. That's who you look for. It's hazy out there. Notice it's hazy and cloudy. Right here, it's dark. You look toward the light. It's the mole. The mole is the sunshine of the light of your life.